Yo. Back from the Smite meta update. As per usual, is the... Don't know if you heard that, but one of my dogs started going nuts, so I had to stop recording and go up and see what was happening. Anyway, as per usual, we're gonna go from ADC, the hunters, or the mages in this case, all the way down to soul lane. And I also wanted to do real quick thank you for all the support on the last video. It only took my most viewed video before the last one was like 1.3k views, and that took a month to get. My last video passed that within 3 days, which was crazy. And thank you for the support, and thank you for all the subs. I really, really appreciate it. Regardless, let's get it. Starting over in the duo lane, we're sticking in the mage tab. Freya, Soul. Characters are bonkers. Still very powerful. Like I said before, I didn't show it on Soul. Like I said before, you're kind of building this stuff minus the hastened ring on Soul. Soul, you're kind of building more mage-like, but you can get the Telkines, the demonic if you want. The Spear of the Mag is definitely core, but the Berserker Shield, especially at the mid to lower rank, let's say like bronze up until like plat and even low diamond, you can really get away with that, and it makes it very difficult for them to fight you. Once you get past that lower diamond, ADCs will realize, I can't fight this person because they have a defense item, and they'll walk away, so you won't really need to build as much, but it makes you much more difficult to kill. Soul and Freya are kind of like the top two, I would say. Chronos and Oleron are kind of the next step down, though they're still very, very good. I do think Oleron is surprisingly the worst of the four, but that's a bit of a... because Oleron has time dilation, which is a very insane CC. So, if you're a hunter player, you should be playing these magical hunters for now. I will say, if you are playing a physical hunter, at some point in your build, buy a Dominance. Dominance is an OP-ass item. Buy a Dominance. It is just OP. You shred tanks in the late game. You shred through everybody. The 20% pen on your auto attacks is insane. If you are going to play a physical hunter, I would look towards the likes of Sardanos, Ishtar, Rama, and Medusa. Some people pointed it out in the comments last time, and I've been seeing it a bit more. Medusa feels pretty strong right now, which is nice. We haven't seen her in a little bit, so I'm down for that. Lastly, you can run a couple of assassins in the hunter role, though I would avoid it. You're looking for some sort of like cheese stuff. You could run Kalina. You could run Set. Well, Set is less cheese and more of a I can play any role I want other than support, but you get my point. Susana works. Thanatos somewhat works. Robin somewhat works. Tsukuyomi works. You know, that sort of stuff. Now moving on to the supports. As per every meta update I've done, Ares and Umoja, if you are good with the character, play them. You will be effective with them. It'll work. If you're not good with the character and you want to be good with the character, warm up. Either play in... With Ares, I would specifically stick to Conquest because in other game modes he has a pretty heavy nerf on his ultimate cooldown, but Umoja doesn't have any of that either, or doesn't have any of that, so you can practice her in any game mode. Regardless, aside from those two, Maui, still ridiculous. Some people thought he was going to be weaker. He still feels ridiculous. This character, good CC, really good peel, has a really good engage. He's just strong, overall. Atlas, another really strong pick that I would look into. Khepri feels decent. Ganesha feels good. Geb actually has been feeling pretty decent. Granted, I think in the lower ranks, if you're good enough, you can play whatever you want. But from what I've seen, Geb actually has been pretty good. And with the Benevolence upgrade, Heroism, it feels really good. You have your shield, and then you have the shield when they get CC'd, so it's a bit ridiculous. Ymir is still very, very good. Bracken, another pretty good pick. Sylvanas feels really good. Terra feels pretty good. If you are going to go into a warrior support, I'd stick to Horus and maybe Mulan. The rest of them, you're better off just playing them in solo or jungle. In the mid lane, I'm actually going to link down below a video that Venenu made talking about how to build mid laners. These old Bolts players, man, they're really putting out these guys. And do you know what? I'm going to link Haddix's video down there as well again. Because this is a little bit more when the season was fresh, but his ideas and his, like, The video's good. The videos are really good, and they're both cracks players. Venu's got a World Championships title under his belt, and Haddix is just a cracked solo laner that I've played against since the dawn of, Smite. I played against him a ton. And he's super good. So make sure you check them both out and sub to them as well. But, in the mid lane, currently, I still think people are underrating this character. Kronos is fucking nuts. He does a ridiculous... If you are good with Kronos, he does a ridiculous amount of damage. His build is pretty much what the mages want to build right now. His late game is insane. His objective damage is insane. His tower shred, insane. Super good. Another pick that has really been on the rise, Tiamat. Tiamat competes with all the top-end mid laners, making her a top-end mid laner. Tiamat does a really high damage. She's got good shred. She has really good lane pressure with her minions in the late game. And she overall is one of those mages that can stay in the back and do kind of the artillery style, but also get in there with her stance switch jumping. Getting those mitigations, doing a ton of damage. She keeps up with the pressures that the hunters put out that are being played in the mid lane, and she's overall very strong. If you aren't playing Tiamat in the mid lane, you should start picking her up a bit more. Oh, and she also, strangely enough, has an easier time fighting the assassins that are trying to cheese you and get early kills. Granted, for the first few levels, she's still a squishy mage and can get destroyed by them. But after a certain point, they have to respect Tiamat's damage to a pretty high degree. And she can also just turn the tables on them by jumping in place and absolutely rolling over them. So, Scylla, another really good pick. Vulcan, still very powerful. Yu Huang is pretty powerful, though I do think he's a bit underrated right now. I gotta mention Hebo, and I will talk about him in jungle, don't worry. I missed it last time because I'm an idiot. Hebo, strong. He's better in jungle. Another pick that's actually been feeling pretty decent in the mid lane that I've seen is Agni. Agni, for a very long time, was just the, middle of the deck, or middle of the class, he's decent, but he's not good enough. But there was a time where he kind of rose up because he was really strong, and right now he feels pretty strong. You don't need Book on Agni, though you build it anyway, because Book is the really good mage item right now. A Book of Thoth, that is. Agni feels good, and you should definitely start practicing getting work with his combos. I do have a tips and tricks guide playlist below. Granted, some of it is a little bit outdated, not really entirely. It's missing characters. Mostly the new ones from every character after Gilgamesh, I believe it's missing, other than Charybdis. Regardless, I need to make another video and cover that, but I'm lazy, I guess. Regardless. Another pick that somebody in the comments actually pointed out to me, I was a little skeptical at first, but then I've seen her being played. Morgan Le Fay feels good. She has a lot of safety in her kit, which is something that may just right now have a bit of a hard time coming by outside of an escape. Morgan Le Fay doesn't have an escape, but she has a fear, a knockback. She's an ability that makes you take extra damage if you dash while using it, and she's got CC immunity that heals her for a ton. The character feels good. Granted, it is liable that she is not liable. It is likely that she can get jumped on and absolutely slaughtered by some of the OP assassins right now. However, if the other player isn't good enough, you can play around that. Let's say a Fenrir tries to brutalize you, you fear him off. Or you 3 him and then fear him. He jumps on you, you 2 right before he lands. The tanks jump on you, you 2 him, you walk away from them. You have a lot of run around in circles and kind of be annoying stuff, and you do a ton of damage. Morgan Le Fay feels good. You can talk about the hunters a bit. Ullr, Chiron, and you can play pretty much most of these mid, but Ullr and Chiron feel pretty decent. Ullr is very high physical burst damage. He builds all the OPS assassin items and does it. Chiron is similar, but not exactly the same. He doesn't do the same absolute explosion combo. I hit an axe and you lose 75% of your health. But he's got very high damage and he's overall very consistent. Assassins, mid lane, Kleena, Set, Susanoo, Pele, Naja, Tsukuyomi. You could do Bastet, you could do Lancelot, you could do Raven, you could do a lot of characters in the assassin mid lane. I wouldn't do Arachne or Bakasura because that just sounds like a terrible idea, but you could do a lot of characters. Even Thor feels pretty good in mid. Alright, junglers. Staying over here for a second, because junglers are really strong right now. As I said before, I mentioned Fenrir. Fenrir feels really good. Thor feels really good. Susanoo feels really good. There's a reason why a ton of the bans in ranked right now are all junglers. Because this is ridiculous, the amount of damage they do. Mercury is, I think, a bit underrated, but he is so strong. He's banned a lot in the higher level ranked games because he straight up, he gets Golden Blade, he gets Rage, and he just starts killing people. And it doesn't matter. Rage feels really good on him, and that's what it is. Now, I'm going to talk about it. Multiple people pointed it out to me in the comments and also just in general. Ebo and Aokwang feel really good in jungle. Ebo is more liable to get run down a little bit by gods like Fenrir, in particular. But his insanely high burst damage, and I will say there's a reason why he was picked a ton at Worlds. He feels gross. He feels really, really strong. You should definitely pick him up if you're a jungler. Practice him in a couple casuals first. Pick him up and play him. He does absurd damage. Aokwang has been really strong for a while now. His damage is absolutely disgusting. Half the time I don't even know why I'm taking so much damage, but he's absolutely railing me. It doesn't matter. Aokwang's crazy. You should definitely pick him up. In terms of warriors, I would avoid them right now. Not all of them are very good. If you're going to play a warrior jungle, Achilles, Gilgamesh, and like Osiris. Really it. Wouldn't go much outside of that. Sorry if that sounded weird and you heard my dogs barking. Don't know why they're going nuts this morning, but they are. Anyway, soul laners. Or no, was I done talking about the junglers? I was. Soul laners. Right now, Cullen is probably the end-all be-all best soul laner. He feels really strong. You get your rage. You get almost to your rage right before you get to lane if you're cleared correctly. He's got instant lane pressure, and overall, he's just been strong for a minute now. Bluestone feels really good on him. You can go Axe on him, but I will mention, because of Axe, Achilles has seen a bit of a rise. Specifically, Sundering Axe. You do lose a little bit of that early game you lose a little bit of early game pressure, but Achilles has always been that pick that can survive getting pressured, and it feels decent. Thundering Axe, plus your passive, plus a normal soul lane build, you're hitting people for, like, I believe Final K has posted a video about it, Haddix probably has. It's gross. You're hitting people for, like, 800 and healing for 600. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. If you're a soul laner, I'd say, do you know what, hell, I'll link the Final K video too. It feels disgusting how much damage you could do with Sundering Axe. And you have long-range poke with your one. You can just, even if you're sieging on a Phoenix or getting sieged on, you can walk up, throw your one out, smack their tank for 600 damage, walk back. Smack their carry for 800 damage, walk back. It's this armor stance, man, the armor stance. Obviously, early on in the game, you take off the armor, but you put it on. I usually put it on around level 10 for take. Feels good. Another character feels pretty good right now. Tyr, Guan Yu, Hercules even feels pretty decent. Hercules, I will put a risk there because Hercules really puts DR on that character. DR being diminishing returns. If you want me to explain it, I'm not going to because it's annoying. Somebody else has already explained it and done it in a better way than I can. Basically, when you're hit with a CC, the next CCs for a little bit of time last less time than they should. Hercules has a really high tendency to DR himself because his 2 puts 2 stacks, and I believe his 1 puts 2 stacks as well. So it means they instantly have the max amount of stacks of DR, meaning they're taking the least amount of CC. Regardless, he still feels powerful. Sun Wukong, I'd say more at the lower rank, from like that same range I gave for the Berserker Shield, the low diamond to bronze area can run games. He has a good amount of damage. He really feels good. Osiris, Odin, Bellona, Mulan, even KA, Amaterasu, they all feel pretty strong right now. Guardians. With the recent change to tablet, I'm still experimenting a little bit, but you going tablet first feels really good. Tablet of Destinies, or whatever the hell it's called. It's the same, the new book. It replaced Book of the Dead. Ardeo, Jing Chen are like the biggest users of it. Jormungandr, Cthulhu feel really good using it. Mainly the soul lane, like, heavy, soul laners are the ones that, or solo laners. The soul lane heavy guardians are the ones that, usually use it the best. But I would definitely look into those picks. If there's anything else I missed, feel free to point it out. Or if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I've been trying to respond to the comments. I got a lot on the last video, and I tried to respond to all of them. That made sense. And I appreciate your input, your guys' input a lot, so I'd love to hear the details. Again, thank you so much for watching the vid. Even if you don't watch all of it, watch sections of it or whatever it is. I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, all the YouTube bullshit. Thank you.